Lisa. Okay, thank you. We already said yes. Good morning. Good morning to the citizens of Douglas County. Welcome to the February 4th, 2025 Commission meeting of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, and we will call this meeting to order. Welcome, citizens of Douglas County. County Clerk, would you please take roll for the record?
Yes, ma'am. District 1, Henry Mitchell.
Present.
District 2, Whitney Kenner Jones. She is not present at the moment. District 3, Martin Raxton.
Present.
District 4, Vice Chair Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Ramona Jackson Jones.
Present. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. We are pleased to have with us this morning Pastor Drake Barber from New Jerusalem Church with us this morning to lead us in our invocation. Please stand for the invocation, and after the invocation, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's pray. Our Father, this morning gathered in this room are brilliant minds you've called together to make decisions for all the citizenry of this city and county. God, we do not know what 25 holds, but we do know that you have a brilliant mind as well, a mind that's prophetic, that knows the end from the beginning. And so I'm asking that you would grace this assembly of important people so they'll know how to take care of the rest of us. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Pastor Barber, for coming in and sharing some words of wisdom and encouragement for Douglas County and also the city as well within Douglas County. Board of Commissioners, as a reminder, each commissioner has 3 minutes to make remarks and 2 minutes for rebuttal. Clerk, did we have anyone sign up for public comment today?
Yes, ma'am. We had one citizen, and before I call you up, I'll just remind you, you have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your 3 minutes are up, we'll ask you to wrap up your comment. When you reach the podium, please state your name and your subject matter. So I will call up Lucius Gant.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm a recent resident of Douglas County. I've been living here almost a year, and I love my county. And I had a situation with the county that I wanted to take 1 or 2 minutes to tell you about. I applied for senior housing. I'm in this county because I came back home. I'm from Atlanta, but I've been around the world working, and I have some medical issues, and that's why I came here. But I have offices in bigger states. I have offices in Africa. I have offices in the Caribbean. But my little problem was that I think I approached the housing authority, the property manager, and filled out an application, and they used false information to deny my application. Now, I'm not mad with them. I'm not mad with you. But when the county budgets money to train to train their employees. If their employees are not trained or they don't act professionally, then sometimes the chairman and the rest of the county commissioners may have to come to court and explain why you budgeted this money and these people aren't trained. And so all I have the evidence that they said that I owe somebody $14,000. That's ridiculous. That don't happen in a Hollywood movie about landlord-tenant relations. All landlord-tenant relations are adjudicated in court. You can't make a phone call and say Ms. Jones owes $14,000. That's not proof. They need proof. And I want a meeting I asked for a meeting with the housing authority. It was ignored. I talked to people in the commissioner's office, asked them for help. They said it was ignored. Everybody I talked to said, Mr. Gant, you need a lawyer. I said, I don't need a lawyer. They say, well, we don't give you legal advice. I say, I don't need legal advice. I just want a phone call to the housing authority, and I can prove to them that I owe zero. Nobody. And the county employees are saying I owe somebody $14,000. And so that's my point. And if I have any questions to answer, I'll be glad to.
Thank you for coming in today and expressing your concerns. And want to make sure, clerk, could we make sure we have his telephone number?
I do.
We have your telephone
ma'am.
number. We will give you a call.
Thank you so much. Have
Thank
a
you.
good
I
day.
will give you a call.
And thank you for being great county commissioners. And I hope the rest of the county employees are as responsive as you are. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr. Lucius Gant. All right. Thank you. Any other comments from anybody? Clerk, we have any other citizens
No,
sign
ma'am.
up?
No,
Okay,
ma'am.
we didn't have it. Board, we move to our agenda adoption. Commissioners, are there any changes that need to be made to the agenda? Any changes? Okay, being none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, we have a 4-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries, board. Approval of the minutes, next, board. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. You have the minutes of the commission meeting January 23rd, 2025, work session minutes of January 22nd, 2025, and the executive session minutes of January 2025. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right. Motion carries 4-0. Madam Clerk, you could lead us with the proclamations.
Yes, ma'am. We have 2 proclamations this morning. The first one is proclaiming February 12th, 2025 as Georgia Day in Douglas County. Lisa Meek is here to read that proclamation.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us here today and for giving me the honor to read this proclamation to our citizens today. My name is Lisa Meek. I'm the regent of your local Sweetwater chapter, National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution. We're very happy to be here to tell you all about Georgia Day. All right. Proclamation, Douglas County Board of Commissioners, Georgia Day. Whereas the colony of Georgia was founded 292 years ago on February 12, 1733, when a hardy band of 114 men, women, and children arrived at Savannah on the ship Anne. James Edward Oglethorpe received a royal charter to establish a colony in honor of King George II. And whereas the last of the 13 original colonies that would later become the United States, it was named for George II. And whereas George Walton, Button Gwinnett, and Lyman Hall each signed the Declaration of Independence on behalf of Georgia, which later became the fourth state to ratify the Constitution of the United States on January 2nd, 1788. And whereas Georgia's current population has grown to more than 10.8 million people and stands as a commercial, financial, and cultural center for the Southeast and our nation. And whereas Georgia's magnificent natural beauty, from the mountains to the seashore, its many historical wonders and sites, as well as its distinctive cultural heritage, are all reasons to celebrate this great state. And whereas from the Creek Indians and early colonists to Juliette Gordon Low, Jackie Robinson, and Martin Luther King Jr., Georgia has been home to many influential leaders who have had monumental impacts on the world for the better. Georgia's storied past provides a strong foundation for a bright future and lends itself to valuable lessons. On Georgia Day, we remember the initial motto for our state as set forth by Oglethorpe: to serve and sacrifice, not for ourselves, but for others. And whereas all Georgians are invited to rediscover our state's natural, cultural, and historical wonders and sites, and to encourage individuals throughout our nation and around the world to recognize the people, institutions, and historic events that have shaped Georgia's place in our shared history and global commerce. Now, therefore, we, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim February 12th, 2025 as Georgia Day in honor of our state's 292nd anniversary, and call upon all our citizens to celebrate our proud and rich heritage. So proclaimed this third day of February 2025. Signed by Dr. Ramona Jackson Jones, Chairman, Henry Mitchell III, District 1, Martin Raxton, District 3, Mark Alcaraz, District 4, and soon-to-be Whitney Kenner Jones, District 2. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Meeks. Very well said. And Georgia is the world for the better. We have bright futures here, and you honed in some things that I like: serve and sacrifice.
Yes.
So thank you all so much for all the great things that you're doing here in the community to promote the greatness of Georgia. Board of Commissioners, you've heard the proclamation. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, we have a 4-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, if y'all could stick around, we'll take pictures at the end of the next proclamation.
Yes.
Certainly, definitely.
you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Madam Clerk, you have the floor for the
Yes.
next proclamation.
Yes, ma'am. Proclaiming the month of February 2025 as Black History Month in Douglas County, Darlene Kimes.
Good morning, Madam Chair and esteemed members of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. I'm here to
Good morning.
thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I'm honored to be able to read this proclamation for such a very significant time in our lives and a very important time for our citizens. And I'd like to also recognize your staff and the citizens of Douglas County. And having done that, I now read a proclamation, Douglas County Board of Commissioners, Douglas County, Georgia, a Black History Month. Whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, scientific, and political development. And whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, noted Black scholars and son of former slaves, founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas Dr. Woodson initiated Black History Week, February 12th, 1926, and for many years, the second week of February, chosen to coincide with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, was celebrated by African Americans in the United States. And whereas in 1976, as part of the nation's bicentennial, Black History Week was expanded and became established as Black History Month, and is now celebrated in the United States, Canada, Ireland, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. And whereas Black History Month celebrates the achievements of African Americans in the arts, civil rights, education, entertainment, government, history, law, literature, medicine, military, music, politics, science, sports, and other endeavors. And whereas Black History Month is a call to each and every citizen to reflect on the cultural, scientific, political, and economic contributions of African Americans, which are deeply embedded throughout our culture and society. Now, therefore, the Douglas County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month in Douglas County, and urge all citizens to celebrate our diverse heritage and to be also remember, learn from, and build on the past so that together we can build a better and more prosperous future for all. So proclaim this fourth day of February 2025. Dr. Romano Jackson Jones, Chairman, Commissioner Henry Mitchell, III, District 1, Commissioner Whitney Jones, District 2, Commissioner Raxton, District 3, and Commissioner Alcarez, District 4.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kind, for coming in today to express the importance of celebrating Black History Month, which is a call to all Americans to recognize the contributions and the many successes of African Americans in this country.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Board of Commissioners, you've heard the proclamation. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Got a comment?
Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Himes, good morning.
Good morning.
I am certainly very, very proud to sit on a dais that supports this legislation, this proclamation here today, especially given the current climate at the federal level and around the United States that's occurring in this day and age. So I'm very proud of the county's commitment and certainly am very supportive of this proclamation. Thank you very much, and Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Any other discussion, Board? Okay, with that being said, please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, we have a 4-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries, Board. All right, thank you so much.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Gaines, we're
Thank
going
you.
to come down and take photographs. Thank you. We'll start with the photograph with our first Miss Meeks, and if you come back up in your group. All right, thank you all so much. We will resume our meeting, Board of Commissioners. Madam Clerk, I believe we have a public hearing next.
Yes,
to-
ma'am.
Okay, so you
We
have the
have-
floor.
The first public hearing we have is regarding House Bill 581, the homestead exemption opt-out. Tiffany Stewart Stanley will give a brief presentation.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners.
Good morning.
We are here for the HB 581 public hearing. We're coming before you today to let you know that HB 581 was passed by the Georgia General Assembly during the 2024 legislative session, and it was signed into law by Governor Kemp on April 18, 2024. HB 581 provides for several significant changes impacting our local government revenue. HB 581 has three major components. The first, the bill provides for some procedural changes to property tax assessments and appeals. Second, the bill provides for a new statewide homestead exemption that applies to local governments unless the local government opts out. And third, the bill creates a new local option sales tax available to be used for property relief. And at this time, we have prepared a presentation to play for the board.
What is House Bill 581? Approved by voters last November, the bill aims to protect homeowners from extreme fluctuations in property tax assessments by offering what's called a floating homestead exemption, which generally offsets increases in the taxable value of a property. Under the new law, residential property assessments cannot increase more than the rate of inflation or other specified metric each year, regardless of how much the home value increases. For instance, let's assume the taxable value of a home increases from $100,000 to $110,000. That's a $10,000 difference, of course. But if the inflation rate is 2%, the floating exemption caps the taxable value at $102,000, exempting the property owner from the remaining $8,000. It's important to note the tax break does not apply to commercial, industrial, or non-homesteaded properties such as rentals. The law went into effect in January, but Georgia counties, municipalities, and school districts have a small window of opportunity to opt out by March 1st, following a series of 3 public hearings. The Douglas County Board of Commissioners is considering opting out. Among the reasons, by opting out, homeowners will retain all current homestead exemptions and benefit from the county's floating homestead. Opting out also allows the county to maintain control over its property tax rates, which could potentially be lower at times than the current rate of inflation. Prior to making its final decision, the BOC will hold 3 public hearings, January 23rd at 6 p.m., February 4th at 10 a.m., and February 18th at 6 p.m. We value your voice and look forward to hearing your input.
So I will yield for any questions at this time.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, we have any questions? Okay,
Yes, Madam Chair, I do.
okay. Vice Chair Alvarez, you have the floor.
2 things. One is, if you already have a homestead exemption, you're automatically enrolled. You just roll right in if we opt in, correct?
Right,
You do
so-
not have to reapply.
No, so the homestead, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, the homestead exemption, you would maintain that homestead exemption that you have, and then if the other homestead exemption, the state homestead exemption, is less, you would get the better of the two, is what happens.
Okay. And then also the local option sales tax, that can go up to 1%. How much revenue would that bring into the county if we did that, which is equal to like our SPLOST or T-SPLOST?
I would not have that number because that number would depend on what revenues will come in from that tax. So you can levy up to 1%, so if you did the 1%, and I don't know if the tax assessor or finance director can give you a number, but that would really just depend on how much we would get, people would spend for that tax.
But that's also those who travel in and out of our county, we be paying that 1%, correct?
That's correct.
So, County Administrator, and maybe this goes to finance, is with our current SPLOST, what are we looking at in regards to that 1%? Or just the estimated or guesstimate?
I believe it's about $60 million a year annually that we end up dividing up amongst the other jurisdictions.
Okay. So that $60 million a year, that would go back to property tax relief for our citizens, correct?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
All right.
I'm sorry.
The 1% sales tax
Oh.
that comes attached to this bill, that's estimated $60 million. That would go back to our citizens for property tax relief, correct?
Let me,
Go ahead.
before we finish, let me get you an accurate number. So,
Well,
that
I'm
one
just
penny,
using- I'm just-
1 penny mirrors what we would get now under the local option sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the same amount. Right now, under the local option sales tax, citizens get a credit back off the property tax bill. Do you want to add on to that, CFO, Shay? Right. And so citizens would get a credit back
Right.
against the which we, so you really, on your property tax bill, you're seeing a net amount of millage every year as opposed to a gross amount.
Right.
Does that answer your question,
Yes,
other
yes.
than the amount?
But
Okay.
that money is allocated to go back to give relief to those property owners,
It
correct?
is.
Okay, all right. That's all
And
I
this
have.
1% would be too, if voters were to approve an additional penny,
Correct.
that also would be credited back against the property tax bill.
Okay, all right. I'm done. I go back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Vice Chair. Any other questions, board? Okay. Have any questions for our CFO before we open the public hearing? You seem like you wanted to explain something to us. You okay?
I'm fine, Madam Chair. The law requires that the option that's more favorable to the citizens is the one we select. And so our current floating homestead is more favorable to the taxpayers versus the floating one.
Can you explain why it's more favorable?
Yes, ma'am.
Chief Financial Officer.
There is no absolute, because you'll always have a certain group of people that certain things won't favor. But the way that our floating homestead exemption is now, the rate that it rolls back for the citizens, the floating, the scenario that was given on the presentation, is based on when they purchased their property, which can be decades ago, for which they retain that floating until they sell it. Now, the new resident of that property won't have the benefit of longevity when they come in. So I guess that means a lot of senior citizens will benefit with our current homestead exemption. But if you have a rate where there has been a high rate of turnover on the properties, new buyers, then they don't have the benefit of longevity in it. So there's no absolute in whatever scenario. But our current rate, with all the other exemptions tied to it, is better than the floating homestead exemption.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Madam Chair.
Okay. Commissioner Mitchell?
Oh, no, I was
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I
Okay.
followed up on
County Administrator, you have
Commissioner
the floor.
Alcaraz's request.
Okay.
The annual tax is about it was 60 million if we add the SPLOST and the local option sales tax. So it's half of that. It's about 30 million a year we estimate off of current sales tax. The loss produces about $30 million a year.
Okay.
Is that all county or is that?
No, that's gross,
Right, okay.
right? And then we have an intergovernmental contract with the remaining jurisdictions
Correct.
to bifurcate that.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much, CFO. All right, Board of Commissioners, I will move into opening the public hearing. We will now open this public hearing. Is there anyone to speak regarding House Bill 581? We have anyone here to speak? Please, when you come forward, state your name and your address.
I'm Sharon Bachtel, 6331 South Skyline Drive. Before I begin, I would like to thank Commissioner Raxton for giving me the information that I was looking for. I appreciate that. And first, I would like to say the state and county governments have done a terrible job of informing the public about this law, HB 581. I asked about the law at the District 3 Town Hall in October, and nobody could explain it. I read as much as I could and asked for answers to questions from our state representatives. Common sense tells me that the same state legislators who thankfully gave us back money on our property taxes last year would not propose a law to hurt the property owners. Many wonder why the opt-out clause was added. The only way to get bipartisan support from Democrats was to add the opt-out. This law was not for rich people. Rich people can pay their taxes or move. This law was for people like me, people who are living on fixed incomes and strict budgets. I just received a cost of living increase on my Social Security. The next day, I received a notice that my Medicare insurance was increasing by almost the same amount. My car and home insurance also increased last year. Seniors can't get ahead. This law was for the 60% who are living paycheck to paycheck and working 3 jobs to pay their bills. They are the ones who can't attend these hearings. This law was to help us keep our homes. In Atlanta, we have seen gentrification, poor people being taxed out of their homes. Corporations swoop in and buy their homes. We are also seeing corporations buying homes in Douglas County, turning them into rentals. Do we want a county full of rentals? This law gives the homeowners the best deal. It says we can keep our local exemptions while opting in. It caps our assessments to help us keep our homes. It gives local governments an option of replacing any lost revenues with a sales tax. This gives relief to property owners. The county will still receive normal assessment taxes from businesses and non-homestead homes. The school has a cap on their millage rate at 20 mills. Counties and cities do not have caps. In 2020, you increased our property taxes 27%, not because of low assessments, but because you overspent your budget. Since then, you have had $3 to $5 million left over each year because of high assessments. In all of that time, we have never seen a full rollback in the millage rate. We have voted for a SPLOST tax for many years, which should help lower taxes and millage rates, but we have not seen that. Every year, the budget increases. I see a lot of wasteful spending. It seems the more money you get, the more money you want to spend. As a senior, I want to stay in my home. I don't want to be taxed out of it. If you really care about seniors, the middle class, and the poor, you should opt in. Almost 60% of the voters in Douglas County approved this law. That is a majority. Are you going to vote against the will of the people? I say opt in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Spanchel. Anyone else here to speak regarding House Bill 581? Okay. Being none, we will now close the public hearing. Do we have any other comments from the Board of Commissioners? If there are no comments, Board, we will have one more public hearing scheduled for February the 18th. All right, thank you so much. Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Okay, our second public hearing is to receive citizen comments regarding the completed activities on the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, the NSP1, in order to begin the closeout of the FY 2008 grant funds and authorize all remaining funds to be deobligated upon receiving closeout certification from Georgia Department of Community Affairs. Ron Roberts.
Hello, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Good morning. Good morning.
Sorry, back a little short. So this is dealing with housing as well, but this goes back to 2008 when the Title III of the Housing and Economic Recovery Act was passed, and it allowed, what, $3.9 billion across states, and the intent for these grants was to help and assist neighborhoods that were and houses that were falling into foreclosure, that were becoming blight in communities and things of that nature. Douglas County applied and received what was the first round of 3 rounds of these Neighborhood Stabilization Program grants. NSP1 is what we're here for today. This base grant was used to refurbish, remodel, and repair and put back into use 58 single-family homes in Douglas County. We also received an additional award in NSP3 later on. That was under the Dodd-Frank Act in 2010. And, this first one was, we were direct recipients through Department of Community Affairs. Part of what we're here today is public hearing is required to finalize this closeout effort. I can say that when I took over planning and zoning, this was one of those inherited other duties as assigned. And so we went to several different homes, but through the course of about 2020, 21, 22, you see these houses, we could no longer, the fund itself could no longer purchase these homes. It wasn't, the market was just so competitive. So, but we're here today because we've worked very hard to close this grant out. Allison has been very helpful, had help with Julie and Jill in finance as well. And so we're here today to actually hold the public hearing, which is part of the process that's required, to actually close NSP 1, the grant. I think we have a, oh yeah. Yeah, so there was the funding that we received, and I think we have a list of the homes, didn't we? That's 58 homes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm here for any questions that you guys may have, actually.
Okay. Thank you so much, Director Roberts.
Sure.
Board of Commissioners, we have any questions?
I do.
Okay. Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, and great presentation. So first question, in regards to the number of homes that were actually supported by the grant, in the agenda item, it mentions 58, but in the resolution, it has 54. So I just want to make sure we're
There's a little error there. Yeah, it was 58 homes.
Okay, it was 58 in total.
Yeah, my memory's not what it was.
Okay.
So I need to correct that. It's my error.
Okay. And then for area medium income, was it at 50% or 80%?
It was at 50. So it's at 50 AMI, and the formula that HUD uses to determine that is based on a number of criteria, and it's largely based on the home prices, square footage of the homes, what the homes cost, and it goes by census tracts. Mm-hmm. So when you actually pull up a map of these homes, they're very specific in location, most of them in District 2 and 3. Later on, as I said, 2010, the Dodd-Frank Act was allowed for NSP 3, which was 80% of the AMI, mm-hmm. and Douglas County was a direct recipient. All the recipients were at that point. They were working with HUD on those NSP projects. There were not as many of those. We have an audit of NSP 3 coming up end of April, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll be able to close that grant as well. I hope that answers your question, Commissioner.
It does. Thank you. And then, as Allison mentioned, she does have the list of those homes, so I would love to see that and just kind of get an idea of where their homes were. And I'm assuming per home, do you have like an annual or kind of an idea what was the average amount per home that was used for rehabilitation activities?
That's on that. I don't recall off the top of my head. I can tell you in very general terms. Mm-hmm. That home prices were around 120, 130, I want to say, and then sometimes the construction and everything else was almost the same to refurbish some of these homes. So they then would turn around and sell to the individuals that were at 50% of the AMI for whatever that net was. So
okay,
it was a good program.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for it to close it out and move on. And I think this is a pretty good day for all of us to put this thing to bed.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll be curious as like what was like kind of the median or average amount that was spent per unit. That'd be great to know as well.
I appreciate the question. I always try to anticipate what you might ask, so I did a lot of study on their formula for how they look at that, but I didn't actually look at the numbers, but yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Any other questions, board?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes. Ron, so you mentioned that these homes, the 58 homes, correct me if I'm wrong, 54, 58, were in District 2 and 3. Is that where the opportunity / or blighted homes were? Is just by coincidence, or?
No, that's
how
where
was
they
that
were.
determined?
It was based on the like I said, the brief I was reading and trying to remember myself was based on, you know, a number of subprime mortgages that were in that census tract and foreclosures, and so there was like it's a pretty in-depth formula that they were looking at, and so. We got the funding from DCA. We had a realtor that would go out and find the homes, and usually they had, you know, a heads up from the bank that some of these houses were fixing to come open, and then that's the ones that were targeted.
Come over because of a foreclosure.
Foreclosures.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Mhm.
Correct. Foreclosures, or yes, a large part of those were foreclosures, and then of course we'd go out and inspect them to see if there were any fatal flaws of any of the homes before accepting them. And then we had a third party, which was ANDP. A lot of people may have heard of that organization that kind of funded these kind of projects, or was the financial component behind a lot of the projects through Metro Atlanta. So overall, it was a good. In Metro Atlanta, there was like 10 counties that applied and received this funding. And they're all going through the same process of closeout.
Okay. And I guess that determination was, does this have anything to do with the opportunity zone, or, okay, so that's, I know we keep talking about the blighted homes, and I just remember that term being used in an opportunity zone, and I'm assuming these zones or these areas were, like I said, homes that were blighted.
Yes, Commissioner, they were. And the opportunity zone for the county is near some of these homes, but not necessarily totally.
Right.
They're not totally encompassed within that area, but they are there, yes.
Got it. Okay. But I guess it just seems kind of strange that that's the two districts, not that it's not a bad idea, but the other two districts had no partake in this particular funds.
Well, it wasn't really, it wasn't a decision of the county. It was just where those opportunities were designated. They were,
I understand.
okay, it's these census tracts. These are where you got to go.
And this is where they are, and that's where the blighted homes were at the time, I guess. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
I yield back, thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Any other questions? Board, just want us to keep in mind that this took place in 2008. Is this the beginning of when?
Yes,
this
ma'am.
funding
Yes,
stabilized?
2008 was when NSP 1 started in Douglas County.
Yeah, and it was during the Great Recession, I believe. Bless you. The Great-
Right.
Yeah.
As
Great
part
Recession.
of the Title III, the Economic and Disaster Recovery Act
Okay.
of that year.
Okay. All right, if there are no further questions for the board, I will certainly move to open up the public hearing.
Appreciate
Thank you so
that.
much, Director Roberts. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here to speak regarding completed activities on the Neighborhood Stabilization Program? Do we have anyone here to speak? Being none, we will close the public hearing. Do we have any other comments from the Board of Commissioners? Being no further comments from the Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the closeout of the FY 2008 grant funds for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, NSP1, and authorize all remaining funds to be de-obligated upon receiving closeout certification from the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review? Do we have a motion, Board?
So move with the note of correction of the 58 homes.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Commissioner Alcaraz, did you complete yours?
I did.
It's not coming through. Can I mark that yes for you? Or no?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, we
Thank
have a
you.
4-0 unanimous vote and the motion carries. Madam Clerk, we move into new business. Tab number 8, please.
Yes, ma'am. Number 8, we have approval of a memorandum of understanding with Douglas County Community Services Board in the amount of $200,000 for the Community Services Program to be funded through the general fund, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review.
Good morning.
Chief of Staff, you have the floor.
Yes,
Tiffany
ma'am.
Store
Thank you.
Stanley.
So this MOU is for the $200,000 that was allocated in the 2025 fiscal year budget for the Community Services Board. This MOU is part of our community services program that we've been doing for about almost 3 years. We were asked by legal to form a formal program to award funding to our community partners. So this amount is for $200,000, and it will be for behavioral health services for the citizens of Douglas County. And I also note that the Community Service Board will be required to submit quarterly reports to the county showing how the money is being spent in accordance with the MOU. There are 2 changes that I do need to bring to the board's attention on the memorandum of understanding where it says purpose and disbursement of funds. It says the MOU acknowledges that the county has been awarded $200,000. It should state the MOU acknowledges that the county has allocated $200,000. As well as on the resolution, on the second paragraph, it says whereas the county has been allocated, has been awarded, it should say has allocated $200,000 for the purposes for the CSB. And I will yield for any questions.
Okay, any questions, board? Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Tiffany, thank you, and thank you for that noted wording there with the allocation. Question, and maybe this is for the CFO, just want to confirm that all funds that have been allocated by the Board of Commissioners in the 2024 fiscal year have been awarded.
I have to check and confirm, but I believe it's been spent as well. But I need to double check and get back with you, Commissioner.
Okay, I would greatly appreciate that.
Correct?
Thank you.
They just confirmed I was right.
Okay, so all
It's been
funds have
spent.
been allocated from the 2024 budget.
And spent.
Okay, and spent. Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Okay, thank you. And then maybe Tiffany, this is for you in regards to the 4th whereas in the resolution.
Yes.
The last line there where it says in which such interim funding would be provided, but this is not interim, correct? That should the word interim be stricken?
Yes, we can strike the word interim and just use the word funding. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
And this is pending further legal review, so she will, legal will make sure to go in and make the adjustments before.
Okay. All right. And I think we already talked about the allocation of funds. And I guess for just the funds have been allocated, and do we have a specific purpose for the $200,000 that's been allocated to CSB that should be documented in the actual MOU?
So we do not have a specific purpose. It's a general statement in all of our MOUs that just basically says that it should be demonstrated outcomes for the programs or services provided public benefit to the county residents. So it's not specific. Once we award the funding to the organization, in their reporting, they have to show how they use that funding. And then our grants manager just makes sure that that's in accordance with what's in the MOU, the general statements in the MOU. So we don't specifically give it to them for a program or rent or something like that. It's at the discretion of the organization, as long as it's in accordance with the MOU to use those fundings in that manner.
Okay. I guess maybe based on past performance, has there been a specific use of funds that have been allocated from the county?
I can check with our grant manager on that one. I don't know if they use it specifically for one thing, but my inclination would probably be just for general purposes, helping with programming, and maybe some overhead expenses is probably what it's been used for. But I can let Ms. Hobson give you a better statement.
All right, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The 2024 funding allowed the CSB to provide facilities for a variety of activities to the residents of Douglas County, and sponsored weekly and monthly events to cover physical well-being therapy, clothing to those in need, a food bank, employment opportunities, and much more.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And then I guess just my last question, as far as the funds being dispersed, do we, is that over a monthly period, or how are funds dispersed to the CSB?
So through the Community Services Program, we disperse the funds quarterly to all the participants that are in that program. And when we formulated the program, that's how we started doing the allocations for each of the participants.
Okay. Is there any consideration to modify that if needed?
Not as of now, but at the direction of the board, we can, and of course, with the consideration of the county administrator, we can move in that direction if that is the.
All right. All right.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, can you repeat the question? It's a little difficult to hear you down on our end.
Sure. So the question was, as far as the allocation of funds being dispersed to the CSB, what was the rate? And it looks like that funds are allocated to them on a quarterly basis. And I was asking, is there an opportunity to modify that, maybe look at a monthly basis?
Well, let me say this. I think for the last 2 years now, we put all of our service program providers on a quarterly basis. And part of that reason is we also have to manage our cash flow. So if all of our providers ask for the funds on a monthly basis, again, it puts stress on our cash flow as well. So I think it's possible that if the board dictates or indicates that it wants to do something monthly, we certainly can. Our preference has been quarterly to be consistent with all the program providers that we award money to or allocate money to. But again, if the board chooses to do it monthly, that's certainly, we will accommodate that.
Okay. All right. I would like to leave that open for further conversation and discussion. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell, you have the floor.
Yes, and I would, to add to Commissioner Raxton's conversation about the quarterly or not, I correct me if I'm wrong, I think that will be a conversation that we'll have at the Finance Committee level as to if we want to make those type of adjustments. And more than willing to have that conversation and dialogue, but I would hope that we would make a decision like that on the floor and try to make this adjustment. So just a word of caution, but I think if you and I, being the chair and vice chair of the Finance Committee, would actually make that request and vet that request and then commit that request as a recommendation from the Finance Committee. So I would just highly think that we should take that route, just for food of caution, though. The other thing is, I thought the numbers were 225 as opposed to 200. Am I incorrect in my thoughts, or am I wrong in that?
225 last year, but 200 this year. Okay, yeah, I think last year was 225, and this year the budget calls for 200,000.
Right, so
That's correct.
Okay.
I misspoke earlier when you and I talked, yes.
Got it, okay. Well, outside of that, if that's what we voted for and in the budget at 2, and hopefully we'll continue to do it right now based on a quarterly basis, based on the information that you have with you at this very moment. I think we should continue that route until we decide on what the adjustments will be, though. And And if that's the case quarterly, when would CSB receive these funds, the quarterly portion of this?
So for this, once this MOU is approved and signed, we would go ahead and process the first, I guess, $50,000.
That's correct.
then.
Yeah. Okay, okay. All right. County Administrator, anything you want to add to that or this?
No, I think, we do have some internal pressing matters, and we'll get that payment, that first, just for the board's disclosure, we're going to advance that first payment as quickly as we can, as opposed to waiting to the end of the quarter.
Right,
This
right.
first, and then come back to you and Commissioner Raxton and Finance Committee with a much more detailed discussion about changing the frequency.
Thank you. All right. Outside of that, thank you, Tiffany, and I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right, board. If there are no further questions, please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Did we get a
I
motion?
didn't even call
We
a
didn't get a
motion.
motion.
I'm sorry. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with Douglas County Community Service Boards in the amount of $200,000 to
So
be
moved.
funded through the general fund?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your, any discussion? Okay, please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, we have a 4 unanimous vote and the motion carries. Madam Clerk, you have tab number 5, and please read the 2025 committee assignments that were deferred from January 23rd, 2025. So
Okay.
our citizens and the public will know the new assignments, and I'm just pleased with
Yes,
our
ma'am.
commissioners that will be overlooking or overseeing these particular committees.
Okay.
You have the floor.
For our standing committees, Benefits Committee and the Pension Committee will be chaired by Commissioner Raxton, Vice Chair Chairman Jones. Community Services Committee will be chaired by Commissioner Mitchell, Vice Chair Commissioner Kenner Jones. Finance Committee will be chaired by Commissioner Mitchell, Vice Chair Commissioner Raxton. Public Safety Committee will be chaired by Commissioner Alcaraz, Vice Chair Commissioner Mitchell. Safety Board will be Chairman Jones. Transportation Committee will be chaired by Commissioner Kenner Jones, Vice Chair Commissioner Alcaraz. And for the ad hoc committees, Residential Committee would be chaired by Commissioner Mitchell, Vice Chair Commissioner Alcaraz. Tax Abatement Committee would be chaired by Commissioner Kenner Jones, Vice Chair Commissioner Raxton.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Board of Commissioners, you've heard the committee assignments, and certainly with your concurrence, do we have a motion to approve these assignments?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we'll have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your elect.
I guess.
Okay, I'm sorry, my head.
No worries.
Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
Thank you. So just going to the board and committee policies under the second section, under standing committees, where we have under the last line, pensions/benefits, if we can just put, instead of the slash, a comma, to clearly delineate that it's 7 committees in total for the standing committee.
Clerk.
Under the policy,
Right, under where it says, under the Douglas County Policy Board of Commissioner Committees, where it says standing committees, that last line, it has benefits/pensions versus benefits, comma, pensions. So I'm just asking to remove the slash and have it as a comma, so it clearly shows 7 committees.
I'll defer to legal since that policy's already been adopted, if we can just change it without.
I think if it's just a typographical error, then you can just
Okay.
kind of, as we do, pro-tunc it and make that adjustment without, as long as it doesn't change the substance.
Okay.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay. If there are no further questions, please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, the motion carries with a 4 unanimous vote. Board, Madam Clerk, you have the next tab number 10.
Yes, ma'am. We have board appointments. Reappointment of Nick Slappy and Chandron Pemberton to the Development Authority of Douglas County, effective immediately.
Do we have a motion, board, to approve these appointments, reappointments?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay. Tab number 11, Madam Clerk.
Number 11 is reappointment of Charles Wynn to the Douglas County Paratransit Committee effective March 21st, 2025.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion for the reappointment of Charles Wynn to the Douglas County Paratransit Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Just 1 second.
For the record, Madam Clerk, our District 3 Commissioner, District 2 Commissioner,
Yes,
Whitney
ma'am.
Kenner Jones has joined us. Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This motion passed 4-0.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is number 12, reappointment of Davin Abel, Tina Harriott, Valerie Mitchell to the Douglas County Travel and Tourism Board effective March 3rd, 2025.
Okay. Board, do we have a motion for these reappointments
So moved.
as read? Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Madam Clerk, you have tab number 13.
Appointment of Jamal Jesse to the Travel and Tourism Board to fill an unexpired term effective March 1st, 2025.
Board, do we have a motion to approve this appointment as read?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your electronic votes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, Board of Commissioners, you have before you the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please prepare to cast your votes.
Oops, I'm sorry, I moved too quickly. I don't think we got Commissioner Mitchell's vote. Did you do that? Okay. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we have a 5-0 unanimous vote for the consent agenda, Board of Commissioners, and the motion carries. With that being said, Board of Commissioners, we do have our announcements this morning. Yvette Jones, our Chief Communications Officer, will come up and read the announcements. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners, and County Administration. Pleased to stand before you with a few announcements this morning. Citizens Academy applications are now open. The Douglas County Citizens Academy is a 10-week interactive program that provides residents of Douglas County with a deeper, more nuanced understanding of how local government works. Participants will engage directly with county leaders, staff, and experts to explore the inner workings of Douglas County government, from its structure, departments, and services. Citizens will discover how local government decisions are made and how they can get involved in shaping the future of Douglas County. 2025 applications are available online under the Constituent Services tab on the Douglas County website, douglascountyga.gov. This class is free and open to citizens 18 and older. For more information, email constituentservices@douglascountyga.gov. And we're asking you to save the date. Join District 3 Commissioner Martin Raxton for Civics 101. That's on Saturday, February 15th, 2025, from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. at the One Family Resource Center, located at 5903 Stewart Parkway. Commissioner Raxton and guest speakers will educate residents on local government, policymaking, and much more. This event is free and open to the public. We look forward to seeing you there. and join the Douglas County Emergency Management Agency on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025, from 4 to 5 p.m. right here in Citizens Hall for a hazard mitigation public information meeting. Citizens will have the opportunity to provide feedback on potential hazards, projects to mitigate risks, and much more. We look forward to seeing you there as well. And Douglas County Senior Services is offering a new home modification and repair program designed to assist older adults improve the safety, accessibility, and livability of their homes. The program will assist with minor home maintenance, accessibility modifications, weatherization, and electrical and plumbing repairs. To learn more about the program and eligibility requirements, contact 770-489-3100. And Douglas County is proud to partner with the Cultural Arts Council and DC Connection to showcase the Sankofa's Reflection Art Exhibit in commemoration of Black History Month. The Sankofa bird symbolizes the importance of embracing ancestral history to shape the present and guide the future. This inspiring exhibit showcases diverse works across various mediums, all reflecting this powerful theme. The exhibit will be on display through February 20th, 2025. And stay connected to our social media and DCTV 23 for inspiring video profiles showcasing the featured artists and their amazing work. That completes our announcements for this morning. I yield back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Chief Communications Officers, for bringing forth these announcements. Board of Commissioners, any other remarks at this time? Okay. Being none, we will certainly break for recess until 6 p.m. for the joint P&Z Board of Commissioners meeting tonight. Madam County Attorney, do I need to just call the motion to just go into recess, or are you okay?
Yes.
I need to call a motion for recess?
You can.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into recess until 6 p.m. tonight for the joint P&Z and BOC meeting? Do we have a motion?
So move.
Do we have a second? Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's no discussion, Board of Commissioners, please, all in favor of going into recess, indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and we will return at 6 p.m. Thank you, and we'll see you at 6 p.m. Thank you.